The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, you're encouraged to like and share them on Facebook. It's time for our favorite event show. It's the Sue-EllenSanders Show, and the host of this show is none other than Sue-EllenSanders.
You just need a drum roll to go with that. Drum roll.
Yeah, well, we got the theme. That helps a little bit, right?
Yeah, I guess it does. Yeah. We got a little bit of a jazzy intro there, and I'm delighted to be with you this evening and also to have with me today some folks from the Early Learning Coalition of St. Lucie County. And if you've been listening to my show over the last few months, you know that I'm also a part of this group now. I'm the Community Development Manager for the Early Learning Coalition, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. Tony Loop is here, and he is the CEO of the organization, and Kim Montana, and she's a child care referral specialist with the Early Learning Coalition. And we're going to be talking about the coalition itself and its services and some things that you might need to know about the coalition, whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to give money, whether you want to give time, whether you want to get your kids signed up, maybe you want to get your grandkids or your neighbor's kids signed up, or we also have a big special event that's coming up that is April 6th. That is the free, absolutely free Family Fun Fair. I would say free family fun fair, but that's just too many F's in a word.
Right, yeah. Could be a tongue twister.
It would be. We could say it very many times. But the important thing to remember about that is that it's free, because some families are used to going to different types of fairs, and fairs are a lot of fun. Every type of fair is a lot of fun. But when you have to pay for entry for everybody getting in, and extra money for the bounce house and extra money for face painting and all the other things, and then it's just not really affordable for all the families. So this one's free. Yep.
Yeah, that's correct. That's why we originally put it on over 13 years ago, was to give the children and families an opportunity to have some great bonding time and it not cost any money.
It actually celebrates Florida Children's Week.
Yes, that's correct.
It's right at the end of the official Florida Children's Week, and St. Lucie County and the city of Fort Pierce, and hopefully the city of Port St. Lucie as well, will be giving us a proclamation that calls April 6, 2019, Annual Children's Day.
Yes, yeah,
Great.
That's one thing we do is we love to get the county and cities buy-in to this, and we've been very fortunate that they've given us a proclamation over the years.
So, if you don't know what the Early Learning Coalition is, if you're listening and you don't know exactly what they do, well, you're probably not the only person, because people that I've talked to have said, okay, we understand you do something for kids, but we're not sure which kids, and we're not sure exactly what you do.
Well, that's I know, I get that. Yeah. I get that as well. So we are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we were created in state legislation around quality educational child care experiences for children. So really what that means is we have two main programs. First is our staple of a program, and that's the school readiness program. And with that program, we subsidize child care for those families that can't afford it. So they have to be working and or going to school. And then the other program, which Kim is very very well knowledgeable about, is our VPK program.
Yeah.
A lot of people have heard about the VPK program because either they've had a 4-year-old themselves that went through the program, or know of a family member or friend's child that has gone through that. And VPK is an absolutely free program for all 4-year-olds. And we even...
And it's voluntary pre-kindergarten.
Yes,
Because I've had
thank you.
people say, what's VBK?
That's
And I
correct.
look at them like,
It's
what? You don't
voluntary.
know? Voluntary
Yeah.
pre-kindergarten.
We get that
Yes.
a lot.
So, Kim, do you want
Yeah,
to share a
no,
little bit about that?
It's a great program that we've been doing, and I've been with the coalition 11 years now, and we have been strong in VPK. We're doing our 2019-2020 school year, so that those children that are 4 before September 1st of that year can come in, and they can go online now. It's a new thing we're doing, which they've been doing for VPK three years now, where you could go on to the family service portal and register. You don't even have to come in. You can, like we always say, you could do it in your pajamas if you wanted to enroll it late at night. They can go on a portal. They just need a proof of residency and an age verification.
So they just need to be able to scan those
Scan those in.
information.
You can take a picture. You can on your camera and on your phones. And we've been doing it all kinds of way. So it's really been very, very good. I've already probably done over close to 1,700 people so far.
So far, and
Yeah.
that's registration for the
2019
2019
yeah.
year.
We also have 2018-19 I'm working on for summer. And we're still doing the 2018. I'm doing 3 years right now, and when it gets together. But we do summer, we do fall, we do summer, and then we do the starting January 1st of 2019-20
Well, let's
enrollment.
go just a little bit farther back. So 20 years ago, the state mandated that they started this Department of Early Learning, the Office of Early Learning, and they mandated that voluntary pre-kindergarten would be free for 4-year-olds in the state of Florida.
So that's partially correct.
Partially.
The coalitions were formed in legislation 20 years ago,
Okay.
but VPK didn't come into play until 2004 legislative session.
Okay.
And then I think it was the 05-06 school year
school year,
was when
correct.
children were able to start the
this new
VPK.
year.
So it was a little bit more gradual than that, but people who hear about it, and really you kind of assume that it's been around in Florida for long enough where more people hear about it. But if you talk to people out of state, there are plenty of states that do not offer free kindergarten
That's correct.
for
Right.
pre-kindergarten.
Yep.
But at the same time, there's other people who listen to it and say, well, if VBK, voluntary pre-kindergarten, is free for 4-year-olds, then why am I paying money? So who wants to explain that?
Okay, I'll take that one.
Yeah, take that one.
Yep. So the VPK program itself, which if it's a school year program, it's generally a 3-hour program. And if it's a summer program, that's a
300. It's 300
Thank you.
hours. It's 540 for the fall and 300 hours for the summer.
Yep.
So your summer hours are going to be longer days to fit those 300 hours in, and the fall is going to be the 540, which you can do the 3 hours at a private center or child care center or school board.
So what's free is up to 540 hours of VBK.
What's
300
yes,
if you do the summer program, and up to 540 hours.
This is how we explain it to a parent, maybe.
Okay.
When you come in and you do voluntary pre-K, the first 3 hours would be free. So if they have a 9 to 12 classroom, that 9 to 12 would be free. And then after, the school readiness would kick in for the wraparound services. And that's for 540 from like August to May.
And that's the thing about, when I talk about the Early Learning Coalition, I describe it as a 3-legged stool, that you have the free VBK up to 540 hours. Then you have the school readiness childcare that's subsidized,
Right.
and that is available just to certain lower income families, whereas the free VBK is for everybody.
That's right.
It's for
That's
for
a-
any 4-year-old that lives in the state of Florida. Yes, it's free for anybody that wants to come.
That's what I say is that you could be a millionaire
And you
your
can-
child,
and
your
that's
4-year-old would still get
Yes.
free VPK.
That's a good way of saying it. Yeah.
But that third leg of the stool is also important too, and I know, Kim, that's also something that you're involved with too, and that's child care resource and referral.
Yes. So we help with
because that's for everyone too.
That's correct. Anybody can call us up on the phone, and we have a Spanish-speaking. I have a Spanish-speaking coworker that can speak Spanish to any of the people that need Spanish-speaking or English and Creole. We have people in the office.
Too.
Yes.
Yeah.
We help with child care services. My coworker and I to help try to find quality child care providers, and we can run a listing. They can call us at our number, and we can help them, give them a listing.
Or they could stop by the office
They
and
can
you
stop
can provide a
by.
listing.
They can call us. We can email them. No problem. Yep.
And while you can't make a recommendation
That's
for
correct.
which child care
We don't-
center to
these
use,
are referrals, not
you
recommendations.
can give them a list of questions or ideas of
Yeah.
when they tour and they look at those
Yes.
child cares that are
We'll
in
give
their
them a
neighborhood.
packet. We run them a list true to what they need. We ask them what's going on in their lives, what we need. What are you looking for? Are you looking for a licensed center? Are you looking for a registered home, contracted with the Early Learning Coalition, non-contracted, a private? We put that in. We plug it all into our system, and then we give them it's based on their needs. And like you said, that they are referrals. They're not recommendations from us. And then we give them a packet with a family guide and a quality checklist. And that quality checklist will go out, and you can take it to the school. And they have little 3 little areas. And you can check it off and go in, make sure that the environment's clean and safe, nothing's hazardous. Do you have an open door policy? You can ask the provider all these questions to make your quality checklist for your child. Bring your child in there. Let them see how they like it. They're going to tell you.
And this is all really important information to know,
and they can call us
especially
anytime.
for families who are just looking for child care for the
Yes.
first time.
Yes.
And it also can give families who use grandma
Oh, yes. We
as
have a lot
child
of them.
care some
We have
ideas
a lot of them.
of where to so kind of raise the bar, where to and also along with the resources that we give, we've got resources that tell them about other programs.
Yeah, we give out.
In addition
We're
to
kind
early
of
learning.
we're kind of like the phone book. I say we kind of help them with everything. If they're looking for other things and we get involved, and there might be another. Well, they have special needs. Well, we will help them. Do that. We will help them. We'll ask them if they need to get into that. We help them with. Sometimes they ask us about lights. Who does the lights or rentals or something? Child care resource and referral isn't just about school readiness or VPK. It's like a phone book. We will help them try to get as much information that we can give them.
And you'll help connect the families
Sure.
to the other needs they
Absolutely.
have. But at the same time, I think I was telling Tony the other day, I had a friend who just had a baby, and she was looking for information on child care centers for 6 months from now. And I suggested she call the Early Learning Coalition, and she said, well, I don't think I qualify economically. And that is a really big misconception, because that resource and referral is available
Give her my
to
number.
everyone.
We'll
it's
talk
for
to her.
everyone.
Yeah.
And then you also have information about different things like Vroom. When I saw Vroom,
correct, yeah.
that was the coolest thing
really
ever.
neat, yeah.
And I had
a
2
great
other. I have
program.
got a bunch of really young friends that are just having kids now. And so one of the first things that I told them was about Vroom, which is not actually connected to the Early Learning Coalition. It's just a resource.
It's a
that
resource, a brain resource
Yeah.
for the children to keep them active, going,
And it's the coolest thing. It's like an app that tells them, you put in the age of your child, and you can even put in the name of your child.
Yep, you can customize it.
Yeah, and then it tells them if you're in the grocery store, what you should be doing, what you can be doing in the grocery store, or what you can do at bath time. I mean, beyond the cleaning and the shopping for groceries.
Right, yes. The activities to help your child grow and nurture and grow, because it's really around the literacy aspects of things. And when you're talking about an infant or toddler, it's really just more about word recognition than it is reading. But it ultimately, those vocabulary skills, word recognition, that helps children when it comes to reading at a little bit older age. But that app, really, it's amazing because it will customize based on the age of the child. It'll send you a little text or message, that says, do this activity with your child. And it's not like a hour-long activity. It's literally a 2 to 5 minute, activity. So
and it's free.
And it's
and
really a great. It's
and
really
a lot of
great
times
app.
it doesn't need any materials other than
where you're at.
Yeah. I remember reading one of them that said, if you're in the grocery store, you can ask your 1-year-old, should I get the blue or the green milk? Meaning in the blue or green package, and then that's color identification.
That's correct. Yeah.
So some people will be listening to this show and they'll say, well, that's great, but I don't have to worry about my kid till they get to pre-K or kindergarten because they're not really going to learn anything before then.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, that is not true. I was amazed to find out that 80% of a child's brain is formed by the time they're 2 years old. Tony, you want to talk about that?
It's amazing.
Yeah, well, it is amazing. So there's so much brain development that happens way before a child gets to kindergarten, that the premium time for just flooding a child's brain with information and knowledge is really those first 5 years.
It is.
And the more that you do with a child, the earlier they are, and you keep that going, those brain neurons that all connect, those connections remain and they grow stronger.
And the other ones go bye-bye.
That's
if you
right.
don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Actually, at age 3 is when that pruning effect starts, where if a child is no longer using something, they will
The
lose
circuits
it.
start disappearing when
Yes.
they're not being exercised. And we're not even talking about real exercise. We're talking about mental exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
But, there's so many different things that you can do. And, of course, as parents and grandparents and early learning child carers, those are the first people that have access to the child. And I remember, going in the grocery store and talking to my 6-month-old about what we were going to do today, and walking along, and people thought I was wacko. Like, what? Do you really expect he's going to answer you? No, but he's still getting accustomed to vocabulary. And my husband and I had this eternal debate about whether it was appropriate to talk to our children in baby talk or not. And because he would do the whole little baby talk thing, and I was like, no, talk to them. Not, obviously you're not going to read to them from encyclopedias and so on, but there's so many different things that they pick up, and vocabulary is one of them on a regular basis from the time that they're so little. So I wasn't wacko after all.
No, you were not.
I mean,
Not in that. Yeah, I want to clarify. Not for that particular reason.
Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
No, but it's so important. In fact, there's studies out there that show that children that live in poverty actually are exposed to 30 million words less than those children that are of middle and upper class homes. So any type of communication with a child from birth is huge.
And, you know, a lot of times children who are in lower income households, you know, maybe grandma is taking care of a bunch of grandchildren, or plopping them in front of the TV, or just they don't have access to things like, you know, that are free in the community, like the programs at the library, the Mommy and Me programs at the library, or different things, or going places or doing things. Travel is also a big thing. And travel doesn't necessarily have to be getting on a plane or a train and going somewhere.
Exactly.
Little trips.
So travel can be through, you know, videos, or it could be through books, or it could be reading to your child or talking to your child at any age. What are some of the other ways that parents at an early age can take advantage of some of the Early Learning Coalition resources?
Well, you know, our main focus and our charge is really around the subsidy care for those families, you know, that can't afford it. But by no means, you know, we want to keep reiterating the fact that absolutely anyone and everyone in St. Lucie County has our resource, our coalition, at their fingertips, because we're happy to help in any way that we can, whether it's someone calling in with maybe a concern about their child's development. We can talk to them about that and make referrals. 211 Help Me Grow is a partner of ours. They do what's called an ASQ, which is an Ages and Stages questionnaire. Basically what that does is it takes the child's age, and then you are basically observing or assessing the child to see if they are developmentally on track for their age. And then if there are deficiencies, we can look at that and make recommendations around, you know, what types of other organizations are out there, like Fiddler's program tied into the school district. That they actually start at age 3. They don't. The school district Fiddler's program starts working with the children at age 3, well before they get into kindergarten. So we can help make those referrals. And then we have Early Steps that focuses on the birth to 3. So we've got the whole gamut of our main focus, which is birth to 5. We also will serve school agers, though, up to age 13 in our program, but our main mission and focus is around the birth to 5 age group.
And a lot of times as school ages, if I'm correct, the school age children are the siblings of the kids that might be a part of the VBK or the school readiness program.
Or just on their own,
Or just on their own as well.
Yeah, we have a lot. I mean, it's a vast, big, massive thing we take on. I mean, there's a lot of ages that we do, and every call is different when we take it, so you never know what we're going to get.
There's also a lot of the information that's available online. You can you could on the website or through the Facebook page link on and get access to the parent newsletter. There's an electronic newsletter that gives you hints. As a matter of fact, I think one of the most liked hints was when SeaWorld and Legoland were offering free access for early childhood children for families. People didn't know about that when they first started doing it at the beginning of the year, and that was something that it was really exciting to be able to share that news of free things. And free things like Vroom, signing up for the app, that is completely free too. And again, not affiliated with us, but the website, the Facebook page, the different events, and the Early Learning Coalition does have several signature events, so to speak, and one of them is the Family Fun Fair that's coming up April 6th. So it's not just an event that the kids come to and bounce around on the bounce house and get their face painted, even though we will have that there, but there'll be learning activities that are fun that'll be part of the event too.
Yeah, definitely. There is a literacy theme to the event, and every child will leave with at least one age-appropriate book. There may be, more books that they receive depending on what each of the different stations are doing. But Kim is a part of that committee as well.
Yeah.
But so I'll mention a few things, but I'm sure Kim just jump in if I'm forgetting anything.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
So April 6th.
April 6th, yep, from 11 to 2 at the Lawnwood Stadium, right outside the stadium there on Virginia Avenue. And with the literacy theme, we have our story stations area, which is where we ask the different child care providers that we're contracted with to, they get a free space, and all they have to do is decorate their space around a child's book. And then they read the book and to the children and have activities that are generally related to the book itself. And then we also have...
So it's kind of like sneaky learning.
It is.
It's pretty fun. Don't
sneaks
tell
up
them.
on them.
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
And then we also have different other nonprofits or agencies that offer free services in the community. We invite them to come to this event as well, so that they can we can help them to get the word out about what they do.
Yeah, I think there's a karate demonstration coming, and
Canines.
Canines, that's cool.
That's always cool, right? There's the fire department's going to be there.
Petting zoo.
Yeah.
Last year, I've done this all the time I've been with the Early Learning Coalition, and it gets more and more involved every year and fun. But I was in the committee meeting yesterday, and I was thinking, I think this year is going to be more hands-on, where the kids can do the STEM projects, where they can learn different science things.
Science, math, technology,
and I guess
engineering.
there's going to be a drum circle, so there's going to be some in our Early Learning Coalition booth. There's going to be making new musical instruments.
The percussion instruments.
It's going to be a lot of fine motor, right? Fine motor and kind of things like that. So that'll be fun.
Well,
it's a lot of fun.
And I think it's really important to note that it isn't just for little kids.
No way.
Especially with
I think the parents have a lot of fun too.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for the parents and the kids to make the different kid-friendly stuff together, but also for the older siblings too. This year, as you said, there's a new drum circle, and that's with Kevin Beatkeeper. We don't think his real last name is Beatkeeper.
It's beat, right? Not B.
Yes, his beat as in beating the drum. And if you've ever seen any of the stuff, I know he's been at Earth Day celebrations before, and he's actually been at a number of drinking establishments too. So it's for kids of all ages, and he brings these enormous bongo-like drums. You don't have to bring your own drums.
No.
Yeah, he's got like 25 of these enormous drums.
Exciting.
And then he shows everybody how to keep a basic rhythm.
Awesome.
And on the Family Fun Fair Day, he's going to set up beginning at 12:30 and start a drum circle. And that's why it's going to be really cool that at the Early Learning Coalition booth that we're going to be making percussion instruments, like this little maracas,
little tambourines.
And tambourines.
I'm still working on it. We'll see what we're going to bring up.
So there'll be fun noisemakers, and it's going to be outside, so you don't have to worry about your kids running around and making a lot of noise.
No.
Something else we added that was new this year was the connection with Healthy St. Lucie and the Billion Steps program. You want to talk about that, Tony?
Yeah, so that...
Because that was your idea.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
So,
It's a good one.
So actually, just over a year ago, the St. Lucie County Health Department had decided to be a part of this Billion Step Challenge, and it's happening across the United States. And so what it is basically is it's just challenging the residents of St. Lucie County, no matter what their age is, to adopt a healthier lifestyle and help us get to 1 billion steps. So whether you're an active runner or you're maybe you sit around and watch TV, and this will spark you to get up and walk around the block after dinner or something.
Maybe you could take the stairs instead of the elevator sometime.
Exactly.
Or park farther out in the parking lot.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So, but you track your steps, and then you log it into the county's website system, and you can have challenges with friends, and if with work, you can have one department against another and just make some fun challenges out of it. But we decided to incorporate this because years ago with our event, we did have do you remember what we called it, Kim? It was like a march to Tallahassee.
A march to Tallahassee.
Yeah,
that's correct. I'm pretty sure that's what we called it.
Which was around the Children's Week activities, and so
but
we
you
thought
didn't actually march to Tallahassee.
we didn't march to Tallahassee.
We did a lot of marching around
we did laps around the track there
Okay.
at the stadium. So we figured, why not bring this concept back, but help one of our sister agencies in the community to help St. Lucie County reach 1 billion steps.
Because we're all about working with the other agencies.
Yes.
Because you're not just addressing a certain segment of age group. You're talking about the whole family, and then you're not just talking about the knowledge that child has. You're talking about that whole child,
Right.
because a healthy child is a happy child and is able to be a smarter child.
Yes, definitely. So, and that's for, I don't know if we have to work out the details yet or not, but I think for every lap you make around the track, you'll get a book.
We kind of decided that we were setting it back at a mile.
Oh, a mile. Okay,
Okay.
there you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
because that would be. Yeah, a
But
lot of books.
so that was what the fear was. But if you are a mom with little kids in a stroller, you will get a special exception. You won't have to do a whole mile to earn an extra book. You'll only have to do one lap.
Okay.
But for everybody else, the concern of the committee yesterday was there would be kids
It
that
was a
were
concern.
walking out with 50 books.
They may not be able to carry them all. Right?
I know.
So
But-
we decided.
Yeah. So anyhow, they'll be able to sign up starting a week in advance, and we have the link, and we can send that out. But you could also just look on the health department's website for the Billion Step Challenge, because they have it linked. Our link is linked there too, and you can be part of it. The trick is that even if you sign up the week before and start logging miles, you can only get your books if you show up
to
at the
do it.
Family Fun
Exactly.
Fair.
Yeah.
Right. That's a good.
And then, of course, every kid who comes, whether they walk any laps or whether they do anything, will walk away, Kim, like you
Yes.
said, with at least one book.
Yes, yes.
Age-appropriate
one
book.
And many things around the field, because when you go to each section of each table, however you want to say station, there's always something that people are giving to you and learning, and there's games and there's stuff, so the kids are never bored. They're never. Some of them come back around and I'm like, didn't I already see you? But you can have it anyway. You know, because they
Yes.
just come back because they like the game we're playing,
Yes.
or they want to do something else. So it's always everything. It's free. It's fun. It's a great day.
Well,
It's
somebody
really a
asked
great
me
day.
the other day if there was going to be food, since
That's
the whole
right.
thing is free.
I was-
And
yep.
yes, there is going to be food, but it will be very low
Low
cost
cost.
concessions, like hot dogs and pizza for a buck or two. Because the whole idea is the Early Learning Coalition and their partners want to make sure that you can take your whole family to this family
Right.
fun fair and not have to spend an arm and a leg. Because some of the fairs, quite honestly, like I said, they're great fairs, but you walk away and you spend $50 to $100 by the time you're
Right.
done.
Right.
This is not going to be that kind of
No.
situation.
No.
So what else is going on with that?
So we also have a photo booth.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
that,
so cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the kids
That'll
will
be
be
fun.
there'll be a lot of different accessories for the
them to
kids
do.
to
They like to
kind
do
of put
that,
on
yeah.
or do
Yeah.
and get their picture taken. I think we mentioned the petting zoo.
Yeah.
Curious George will be with us,
there.
and we always love to see Curious there.
Yeah.
He's
And St. Lucie Schools is one of our partners too, their early
Yeah.
education department.
correct.
Yep.
Yep. And also, I do want to give a shout out to DCF, Department of Children and Families, because they've donated 500 books for our event. So we appreciate that. And then also Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County and the St. Lucie Reads Initiative. That was started with some conversations with CSC and the coalition and a couple of other partners, and it's grown where with St. Lucie Reads, it's all about really what we've talked about earlier today with regards to the language exposure and word development and reading skills for children. And talking about how children in poverty hear 30 million fewer words than those, of different classes. Another interesting fact is that for every child of middle to upper class, they have access to an average of 13 books within their home. If they're of poverty, there's one book for 300 children
Wow.
in a radius. So,
So giving them free books is incredible.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's very important. And CSC is a big supporter of our event and our organization, and they provide books as well. And with the St. Lucie Reads Initiative, there are actually, I think they're up to about 65, maybe even more now, of little libraries out in the community. And so from churches to laundromats to doctors' offices, there's these little libraries that the books are free. So whether the children just look at them while they're at that particular location or they take them with them, it's completely okay for the children to take the books with them, because whoever has that little library, they just reach out to CSC and say, hey, stop by, we need more books. And
Even when they come to see us, we give out books in the lobby. So
Yep.
And John Caesar is the St. Lucie Reads contractor he'll be there
Okay.
at the Family Fun Fair too. And he's from a family of educators, actually. So he's very passionate about literacy and reading. And a lot of the kids, I speak to kids and families out in the community who are just not aware that the St. Lucie County Library is free. And that boggles my mind.
I know.
There's all those free books in, is it 6 different locations now? I
don't
I don't
know.
know.
Yeah, I have to count, because I know they have one at the St. Lucie West campus too. But there's Morningside, there's a downtown Fort Pierce, Zora Neale Hurston, the Port St. Lucie, one on Prima Vista.
Paula
There's
Lewis.
Paula Lewis, Southwest Port St. Lucie, and then
Rosser, maybe.
yes, at Rosser, because that's where they did the pre-voting, the early election things.
Yep.
Yeah. But there's a lot of different locations, and so many families do not realize that it doesn't cost anything to get a library card, and it doesn't cost anything except for if your books are overdue, and I'm always kind of guilty about that. But you can also get, all sorts of other things like videos and books online. You have access to books online. So there's a lot of free opportunities. And actually, April 6th, that same day as the Family Fun Fair, the St. Lucie Libraries are going to be having a book sale, selling some of the books that they're collecting too. So, they're going to have some information at our event to remind people to stop by the library, because if you get your free books, and then say you got $5 more and you want to buy some more books, you can get a bunch more books for at the library for sale to keep, or you can just stop by the library and all the story times, all the activities, all the borrowing of the books, it's all completely free.
Yep.
My daughter says that the library is my happy place.
That's a good
But it could
place.
be everybody's happy
Happy
place.
place. That's a
Yeah.
great. Yeah. When I was growing up, that's where we went, was the library.
You surround yourselves with books and knowledge, and, you know, it's not osmosis, actually, but it just as well could be. So it's important to have, you know, the what we were calling it sneaky learning.
Right.
That and that is something that we have at all of the different events that we do.
Yep, definitely. You know, when learning is when you have a fun activity, it doesn't feel like learning because the kids are enjoying it, and that's the sneaky part about it. They don't even realize that they're learning different skills, but because they're having so much fun with it.
They are, and so the Family Fun Fair on April 6th, you don't have to make reservations or RSVP or anything. You just have to show up. And it's at the John B. Park, which is the official name for the sports area that includes the Lawnwood Stadium.
Yes.
So you can park. There's plenty of parking there. You can bring the family. 11 to 2. You can come at 11, stay till 2, or just stop by sometime during the day. But don't forget, all the kids that come will get free books. We'll also have the link to the Healthy St. Lucie Billion Step program.
Yep.
We'll also have the drum circle that starts at 12:30.
Can't wait to see that.
And we were talking the other day, some of the folks in program services, about the connections with music and literacy too, which is not something that you think about automatically, but even when and connections with music and math, because when you are pounding a drum, you are keeping a beat, and there's a certain amount of beats per measure. Yes.
Going back to my music.
So there's a lot of ways that, you know, the arts and math and science and technology are all connected. And that kind of leads me to the next thing that I wanted to see if we could talk about, and that would be the STEAM program that, you know, that's a big thing that's in the schools. It's been in the schools for a while, but the Early Learning Coalition has kind of been looking toward that as the importance of introducing it at a pre-K level. And I know one of your program specialists, Lena Lloyd, has been running STEM Gems. She's been putting together training for teachers in STEM, which is the science, technology, engineering, and math, which is kind of STEAM, which is the new thing that adds the art component. So she's been training the teachers for the pre-K centers to be able to use more STEM or STEAM in their program. And what's the next step from there, Tony?
Well, the next step is a mobile outreach vehicle where we can bring STEM or STEAM activities out to the child care centers.
What a great idea.
I know.
I know. And you know what? We were at a conference where we met several other coalitions that have already done that successfully.
Yes.
And it was something that was kind of a pie in the sky idea when we first talked about it a few months ago, but it looks like that we're going to take the next step and figure out how to fund it as the future goes on, and have a mobile unit that goes out to the child care centers. We don't have it yet, so don't call.
Don't
and
call
say,
us asking for it, please.
It's not there yet.
No.
But you know, these are some of the ways that we can address and compliment, and I don't mean compliment as in, oh, you did a good job. I mean compliment as being symmetrical, as in an angle, to bring math into the equation.
That's right.
Just so
Good
you know,
job.
I can.
Good
Yeah.
job.
Got it.
That's kind of sneaky too.
See, you did
that whole
good.
sneaky learning.
Yes. To what the older kids are learning.
Right.
Because when kids are comfortable with knowledge before they even get to kindergarten, when they're comfortable with the social activity level of being around other kids and learning things, because there's a lot more than knowledge that you learn in a pre-K. At least the knowledge isn't always literary math. It's sometimes it's social.
Yeah,
No, that's true.
social and emotional, activities for young children is huge, because that really needs to develop early, so that the other skills and knowledge that they will develop will come easier to them.
Because if I remember back in the day when my kids were in kindergarten, the kindergarten teacher, who was famous for everyone, Sandy Bacano, told me that, and this was unofficial, but she said that it takes her a full 6 months if a child who enters kindergarten has not gone to any type of pre-K program. It's a full 6 months at least before they're at the same level of getting along with other kids and of understanding the importance of working together on a project.
And that's why they also did VPK. Well, you said that, because VPK is there to help with the 4-year-olds, to get them socially, emotionally ready to get in there. It's a big step for those little 4-year-olds to get their stuff on and go to school and be with other kids when they're home with moms, just sitting doing nothing. But now they get 20 kids in there and they can have fun,
And you want to catch them while they're still enthusiastic about learning too, because down the road there's like, oh, it's not so exciting to go to school and to be around other kids, and I'll be fine without it, thanks mom. But
they love it.
When they're little, they love
They
it.
get their little backpacks on, and they're ready to go.
And there's like sponges. There's sponges. I think I was remembering from the time that the Early Learning Coalition and PNC did that business symposium talking about the business of early learning. And I think somebody there mentioned that at that point, I lost where I was going. They were talking about the importance of the early learning as it applies to business, because it's a step up, and that the businesses also need to be involved in early learning, because the bottom line is that not only are you preparing the kids for the future, but you're creating a situation where the parents are more comfortable and happy about having their kids in a program.
Yeah, well, and again, it goes back to the educational aspect and how much children can absorb in those first 5 years prior to entering kindergarten. And really, children that are born today are the workforce of 2027, if I did the math right on that. So,
Can you believe it?
no, wait, no, 2037. Well,
7,000, yeah.
And even some of the jobs that they're going to have in 2037 haven't been invented yet. So that's why it's really important that kids not only learn this information, but they learn to be flexible, they learn to be enthusiastic, they learn to work well with other people. I remember what I was going to say about the symposium now too, that it's not just, STEM, but all aspects of things like foreign language, music, anything at an earlier age. The earlier you catch them, the better. And that's something else that parents who have a higher income are more likely to put their kids in music lessons and in sports programs and in different things that give their kids a step up. But through early learning possibilities, there are a lot of different ways that people who can't afford that type of thing can take advantage of it.
Yeah. And so one thing I want to mention too, Sue Ellen, is that you had said a healthy child is a happy child, and that child can learn. The coalition does so much more with the child care centers, and our resource specialists go out and offer technical assistance to the teachers. We have an oral health program where child care centers have chosen to be sugar-free or sugar-reduced, where they celebrate all the birthdays of March one day, and they only bring a cake or cupcakes in on that one day,
So
versus 20 different birthdays, with cake being served. Or they say no cake at all, and it's fruits and vegetables and those natural, healthy foods. And then we also partner with Tykes and Teens around trauma-informed care and infant mental health. So we just have a lot of different quality initiatives that children that are not in our program still get the benefit of, because we're enhancing a child care center's abilities, not just the children that we're here to serve as well.
Because it's serving the whole child,
Yep.
and as part of the whole child, the whole family.
Yep.
So you don't have to know all of this stuff. I didn't expect you to take notes while we were doing the show. So there's a lot of different ways that you can get that information. One of them is going to the website, which is www.elcslc.org, or you can call. And
772-595-6363 is the Child Care Resource and Referral line, or they can call 772
595-6424 is
Thank
our
you.
main number.
I'm
For the
sorry,
main
my number
number.
is always 595-6363. I'm sorry.
I say, so you
So
got
you can
two
do
numbers.
two numbers.
You can check us out on Facebook. You can show up and get more information at the Family Fun Fair on April 6th outside Lawnwood Stadium. Tony Loop and Kim Montana have been my guests from the Early Learning Coalition of St. Lucie County. I'll be back next week with more. Have a great week.
The Sue-EllenSanders Show, Friday nights at 6:05, right here on WPSL Port St. Lucie. Archives of this show can be found on YouTube. Go to WPSLTV.com. It'll take you to our YouTube presence. Look up the Sue-EllenSanders Show there. See all the archives online, on demand.